Nick's wife. Get your fuck back inside. And
She's a nut.
Remember, don't say anything incriminating. You're now live.
Alright, you want to start?
Dean, the one person that really could
Give it a minute.
oh, wait, where's the...
break some sort of NDA or whatever.
Oh, of course you will.
Right? Exactly what's happening.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Are you live?
Yeah, we got three people watching now.
Yes, that's why we're saying for you not to.
Don't say anything incriminating?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, crap.
What was this thing called?
Hmm.
2-inch Pixie?
I just said that, yeah. I had a little script I was going to use, just a sequence of events, and I forgot it home.
Oh,
Alright.
So what take are we on? 73 at this point?
No, we just started.
I guess we're gonna go from this side. Oh wait.
Oh, remember, now it's backwards, so this
Put
is...
it on the
like-
no, you want to put it up and we'll do an intro? Well, yeah, then you have to... Is that working or not?
Orientation is locked. Rotate device.
Yeah, good. That's what we want. Yes, we're dealing with technical difficulties. Alright, so... Oh, wait. Oh, come on. We're going to officially start and Dean is all messed up already. Making corrections.
Well, at this point...
Quad Monsters, 2-inch Pixie, rolling 1, scene 1A, take 17. Action.
Burger, like, what the hell just happened?
Exactly. So that was Dean, and Eamon's behind the camera, and well, we're gonna build a 2-inch Pixie here live. We're gonna build a 2-inch Pixie here live on stream. So that's the general plan. So
Hold on a minute.
without, oh,
It's not Dean, it's Dapper D, and on the camera, Stevie McStevens.
Burger's already having it.
Well, you said not to incriminate us. Don't use our real names.
all right, put that thing over. Let's put it down on the
Okay.
screen, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're gonna use. You know, there we go. Good. We'll give Eamon a second just to get sorted. It's fine. You got it right.
Yeah, but it was still giving me orientation. Oh. Put him down, put a screwdriver up his butt, see what happens.
Right.
Gives me that lock again.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
You have it. You good? Okay. All right. So let me talk a little bit first about what we're going to use. So obviously we have a Pixie 110 build. So this is going to be the frame. We're going to use an HELRC stack with it. So that's ESC, 4-in-1 flight controller, and video transmitter. We're using a Runcam Swift 2 Mini. And we're using these are Hype Train 1104 7500 kV motors. And for this specific build, we're going to be doing a Spectrum receiver on this. So somewhere I have a Spectrum radio. You get to find a Spectrum radio because I don't know where it is. It's in a gray case. Maybe over on the couch. Yeah, we will need it for a bit. So those are the parts. You'll notice it's very low parts count, primarily because the stack kind of brings everything together really nicely. We'll start with an unboxing here first, and then we'll start on the build. So yeah, we don't need it for a while, but okay. So let me move some of these things out of the way. All right, so before I actually open up this package, let me just show you the frame real quickly. Did you bring the scale or no?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the Quad Monsters Pixie 110. It's designed up to 2-inch sized props. It's very basic, yet we believe it's very flexible. As you can probably see from here, it's got removable arms. So if you ever were to break an arm, or if you need to fix any of the parts, it comes apart. So instead of having a monolithic bottom plate. The other thing that we're really big on is making sure it's lightweight. so that you can have a very, very nice flight experience, use lightweight equipment, long flights, good performance. So let me just drop that on the scale real quickly, and you'll see that the frame itself is 17.6 grams. You probably can't read that from up there, but
Let me get the grams.
yeah. Oh, we get a close up here of the
There we go.
17.6 grams. That's good enough. And there you go. So, all right. So that's what the frame specs are. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's actually inside the box. So, we'll try to open this. I should have brought the right tool for this.
I don't think this is gonna be working anywhere but the pad, but yeah, I mean, I could.
Everything's good.
That's why I was gonna be taking it off and like
What's
holding it.
Okay.
I was just suggesting if we should get it higher so we get the whole table.
No,
But it's got the whole pad.
I want the pad exactly.
Yeah, because the pad cut off a little bit.
All right. So,
I gotta admit it looks kind of funky. It's upside down.
all right. In the bag.
The higher you go, the less you'll have that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you extend that leg so it goes over a little more. Let that leg go all its length.
It was all the length
I thought you cut
earlier.
back.
I did a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you can bring it over, and it doesn't matter. It's good enough. I'll work up here.
It looks kind of funky and
I understand. I got
get upside down view, yeah.
right here. Okay, so in the bag we have a little insert with information, as all of our inserts show, name, some of the specifications, what you require to complete. There's a QR code straight to the website, and all of them have a big icon showing what the maximum crop size is. So, we'll pause a second as our cameraman.
No, you're good, you're good.
Okay.
We're not messing. We're not gonna mess with your view.
Alright, so we have the carbon components. There's a main plate,
I'll wait until I move it.
2 arms,
I'm trying to share the thing in my face.
2 hoops. We have a set of decals. You can use, well, wherever you want, like on your build plate, for example. Then we have 2 little bags. So this is the main quad hardware. This is some of the rest of the hardware. So I'll go through this as we do the assembly. I'll pull out the stuff out of the bags, and it'll show where everything goes. So I'll talk about them as I open each compartment. So that's what's in the box. It's a very in the bag. It's a very complete kit, so it makes life actually very easy.
That stupid screen keeps coming up saying.
Don't worry about that. That's why you have monitor. Alright, so without further ado, I'm actually just going to go straight into the build. So what I'm going to do first actually is I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to put together the top of the quad, so the pieces are going to go on the top, and I'll show you how that's going to go first, and then we'll start working on the motors after that, right? So the first compartment here, pretty straightforward. It's just a standoff. This standoff is going to bridge from one side of the quad to the other. Next compartment is all our little screws. So I'm going to grab a little parts tray here and drop all my screws in there so that none of them get lost. And you'll notice really there's only 6 screws. The silver ones are for the arms, right? The black ones are for the standoff. Next compartment we have is going to be the 3D printed part. It's optional, you don't have to use it, but if you choose to, or if you have long antenna wires, it's got the mounts for the antenna, the receiver antennas, and it also has a mount for the video antenna. This is the size of an SMA connector, which you can just bolt right into that hole if you so desire. And finally we have a little key ring. This is just for you to attach to your keys. It doesn't actually go on the quad, as one of our customers said he spent half an hour trying to figure out where it mounted. Alright. So first thing first, I'll go ahead and take my 3D printed part, and I'll just go ahead and slide the standoff right inside 3D printed part. You'll notice it'll fit very snug and right at both edges. From there, I'm going to grab a 1.5mm wrench and the 2mm bolts. These are the black ones. I'll just grab any of the hoops. They're both the same size. You decide what's outside. And slide that part in.
Just take that, hit it, search.
And just tighten it.
Or drone.
Okay, I'm just gonna snug it for now. I'll tighten it later. I'll grab the other hoop, the other black bolt, and that's gonna go on the other side of the frame. Let me just tighten that down snug too. Okay, so that provides the rear support for the top half of the frame. For the front support, we're going to go into our run cam, and we're actually using the structure of the run cam to bridge the front half of the frame. Let me just go ahead and open this. Alright, from here I'll pull out my little accessory pack and my camera. And from the accessory pack, I'm going to look for the two little screws. So here they are, 1 and 2. Now you'll need the two little plastic washers too, as a carbon fiber in this particular frame is fairly thin. If not, the screws will bottom out. I'll put this back in the camera box for now. We will use it later, but for now, we'll just put it there. And again, I'm going to grab my, in this case it's going to be a 2mm wrench. I'll go ahead and I'll put on a washer. I'll take camera, connector goes up, put it over the slot, and just go ahead and feed in the screw. Flip it over. I'll do the same on the other side.
I hate that
Oh,
bracket.
you'll try to pause it and it'll go away.
It's not going away.
Hit down.
Alright, so I'm snugging it up right now. There's ability to slide the camera back and forth as you need, as well as change the camera angle, obviously. And once we're done, the longer side of the frame is going to be the front. The shorter side is going to be the back. That gives us space for the camera. And the set nut is going to slide it right in from the top, and the arms are just going to slide in under here and lock it into place. And then the arms are going to get bolted in. However, I'm not going to install it yet because it's actually a lot easier with this frame to build it without the top component attached. So I would do most of the build on the naked frame, make it a lot easier, and then I'll come in at the very, very end and just attach the top and plug it all in and bolt it all down. Okay. So that's the top frame is done, and just waiting for the last few steps. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do, or next thing I like to do in particular, is I'm actually gonna go ahead and test and flash my flight controller and my ESC before I do any soldering at all whatsoever. In case there's any issues or I have any problems, it's better to find out about those right now as opposed to when everything's soldered up and it's gonna be a real pain. So first thing I'm gonna do is remove this quality control sticker just because. Well, just because I guess. It looks metallized. I don't know if it truly conducts electricity or not, but if it does, I want to make sure it doesn't short any of my pins or anything like that. Okay. So the flight controller that we're using, the HDLRC, has a direct pin header that connects the ESC to the flight controller, and we're just going to go ahead and temporarily plug that in, make sure it's lined up properly, and it's not. I'm going to try that again, make sure I have it lined up properly. And there we go. And for this particular occasion, I have some nice helping tools. So here we've got a little XT60 connector with alligator clips, which I can just clip right onto here in order to test this. One goes there, One was here.
That's a dandy little tool you got there.
I know. Nice stuff. Just some wire I had with alligator clips. I just soldered it to an XT60 and there we go.
Just not so.
Alright, let me pull out my that little Chromebook here I use to run the software on. A little USB cord. And we're going to go ahead and just plug this in real quickly, flash it. I won't do the final configuration now, but I just want to make sure that everything flashes properly. So,
Every day I have eggs.
Scrambled egg sandwich. No sandwich, just scrambled eggs.
Mm-hmm.
fire up. I'll start by firing up beta flight. Connect the flight controller to the USB cord. And connect the USB cord to my Chromebook. Okay. So, see if I can get this, take it back a little bit so you guys can see better. Alright, so far I just connected it. You'll see there's motion and everything on the flight controller. No, I'm the one that can't see. So it's running 3.23. Let me go ahead and I'll go to the CLI, type version, find out. So we're just running standard Omnibus F4. Not sure if you guys can see that or not, but there's plenty of videos that explain this on the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. I'm going to go to the firmware flasher tab. I'm going to find the Omnibus F4. I'm actually going to go all out and I'm going to run 3.5. And let's go ahead and try to flash this. If it fails, we may have to start it up in DFU mode. Alright, so I'm having issues with it flashing, so the first thing I'll do is take my little boot bubble over here. I'll press that, plug it in again. Alright, I know you probably can't see, but up here I can tell. DFU mode. Ah, Eamon's going to help me. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and say flash firmware. Alright, just erasing what's there. Putting the new firmware on. No, I did not. Yes. Alright, it's flashing. Oh, she was asking. No, so we'd already. I think it's showing some videos. While this is flashing, Amy's going to show you a video.
Quad monsters. Somebody press play.
I don't know where to press play. Where do we have to press play? It doesn't worry about it.
Where's Dean?
It's done. Alright, don't worry about it. Alright, so programming is successful. So next thing I'm going to do is upgrade the ESCs. You want to hold it there? Isn't that a little awkward?
While you were doing something.
Alright.
On there.
I'm going to fire up BL Heli. Now, somewhere, it's on that table, I think. There should be a 3-cell 1300 with a big X. Yeah. Alright, so a little battery here. All I did was fire up BL Heli. I'm going to go ahead and connect to the flight controller. Alright, power up the ESC. Before we power up the ESC, do I have the other smoke stopper? No, I guess not. We're good.
Usually you should use
Yeah, I will.
a smoke stopper, but this is XT30 and that's XT60. So I mean, but in this rate, you know what, professionals. I've never used one in my entire life. So,
There you go.
but you should use one.
All right, so we read everything. Firmware is at. Let me take 60.7. Alright, we're gonna flash.
Which firmware version was it?
They were on 16.6 and I'm flashing 16.7. While we're here, I'm gonna change
So
some endpoints. Just
the system he's using is the HG LRC stack, which includes the 28 amp ESC 4-in-1, and it has the F4 flight controller.
It's actually on the website.
Yeah.
As one of the recommended platforms.
On the quadmonsters.com website, if you
Yeah.
go to this product, you'll find this exact stack, which is normally what we recommend. The 28 amp is overkill for something like this. We use the 28 amp on our 5-inch quads as well. But normally something like this is overkill enough that we'd be able to never have an issue on this drone. So you run something like this and you're all good. Besides the fact that it's the same size as, like, for instance, their 13 amp ESC, which I find ridiculous. You spend like $3 more, you get the 28 amp, same exact size, same exact everything to me. The flight controller has on-screen display, and it comes with the video transmitter, which gives you the option to go 350, 200, 100, or 25 milliwatt. And then you'd also be able to use smart audio on it. And I think we've also gotten that one to work with almost every receiver that we've gone through right now.
Feel free to take over because we're unless we need
Go ahead. Hit play.
even fight action.
Come back. Sorry.
Oh, he's back.
Yes.
You just can't leave. You can't leave
I
our
can't. No.
our clients like that.
We
No,
can't
not
leave
you.
them.
Like, we already started the video. We can't
Oh.
not let them see the goodness
Alright, while
of
you're
Quad
showing the
Monsters.
video,
A short intermission here.
while you're showing the video, all I'm gonna do
Burger collects
is just
himself.
save. And I know the stack is good now. So I'm gonna unplug everything.
Dean's favorite part. Get over there and
Look at those faces. They're beautiful.
it's Burger.
Amen.
It's Stevie McStevens and Dapper D. And B to the L to the D. Several quads were hurt in the making of this video.
And people. I mean, no people. Yes, that is the song from the Little Blue Guys. Your favorite
What kind
Smurfs.
of song selection was this? I don't know what was on your mind.
Yeah, I had like a little bird in my ear telling me some of the suggestions he thought I should reuse. All right,
Alright, we're gonna pause it
we're
right
gonna
here.
get you back into the quad world.
We're good. Okay. So all I did was save, disconnect the components. I'm just gonna store them for now. We'll use them very, very soon, but for now, we checked them out. They're good. I don't need them this instant. Instead, I'm gonna start mounting my motors. Right. So I'll take my tour. What? Dude.
All right, and with the power of movie magic, we have lights.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Scheiße. What do you need?
I'll take out the first motor, then you guys can start just
Okay.
unpacking the others. All right. Motors come with let's see. So the key here is to make sure we pick the right size bolts, because you don't want to get bolts that are too long and are going to hit the windings of the motor.
Very important, because if you hit the windings with your bolts, you're going to fry your motors immediately.
Exactly.
We get a lot of people doing that, so please make sure when you get the screws,
You pick the right ones. Okay, so you'll notice here, well, maybe, the motor comes with a variety of different screw, it's very hard to tell, they're all stuck in the magnet, but the motor comes with a variety of different screw lengths, right?
Yeah, you can see it.
And,
Now you can't.
yeah. we're going to go ahead and just test these out. Push them through the arms. Present the motor, which I haven't taken out of the bag yet. Oh, thank you. Sorry. I'm just going to present the motor on its side and see if that screw is the appropriate length. In this case, you can see that screw is just a little bit too long. So, I'm going to go to the next shorter one. That looks a little too short. I hope there's something in between. Yes, there is. So this is the right length, right here. I'm going to be digging out all the screws that are this specific length, right? So you'll just have to measure on your own, figure out which the right ones are, okay? Once I got the right screws, I'm just going to present the motor onto the arm, make sure that the wires go towards the inside. I'll grab a little bit of thread locker. Let's go ahead and put some on here. A thread locking compound, whatever you want to call it. And let's put some on there. Find the holes in the motor and just bolt them in. Alright, we're going to start by snugging up the first bolt. Don't get it too tight. And once I got the second one in place, it's a little bit crooked. Let's try it again. So once I got the second one in place, I can go ahead and back and tighten the first one. And just as a sanity check, I want to make sure that my bolts are not sticking through. Let's see if I can get. It's not
There you go.
focusing.
Yeah, it's in focus now.
It is, yeah. You can see a little bit of an air gap there. And I'll twist it left and right. Anyway, hopefully you get what I mean. So, let me go ahead and dig out the rest of the appropriate length bolts.
While you do that, have you ever told the Quad Monster fan base why everything is named the way it is?
Right. All right. So an interesting anecdote. So back when we started the company, one of our founders, Casey, who's not here today, ran a website called The Hobby Monster. So in order to keep the same brand recognition, is that all my bolts, guys? Aiden, did I get all my bolts?
Dean.
I opened one packet and one motor, and I put the packet in there.
You talking about these?
Yeah, no, there's bolts missing. Okay. So in order to keep the same brand name recognition, we decided to call the company Monster Quads. Unfortunately, that name was taken, so we ended up with Quad Monsters. So to kind of keep that with that theme or with that name, we decided to find names for all of our quads that reflected flying mythological creatures, or flying monsters, if you want to think of it that way. We started with flying monsters, and then we extended it to flying mythological creatures as we started running out of monsters. But and this little guy was so cute. He wasn't really a monster, so that's what we call it, the Pixie.
I've seen some pretty mean pixies.
Yeah, that I have too, actually. They can be tricky.
So,
Tricksy.
have you seen the new movie coming out? The new Godzilla movie?
No.
I don't know if
already in theaters, or
no, it's gonna be out next year. But I don't know if you've known, but the 2014 Godzilla movie that came out, the one where like they're in Japan and then they come to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
They were planning on kind of doing it like the original one, where Godzilla's like the savior of the earth or whatever, and so the next movie is gonna have a lot of the old monsters like Mothra and what was the name of the three-headed guy
from the original.
from the original movies. So now we have to have a Mothra frame.
Alright. Certainly a possibility. We'll,
So go ahead and message us
Hmm.
for what type of frame you'd want to be seen made into the Mothra.
have you been reading the comments, by the way, or any questions and
I've-
stuff?
Only
You
seen
just grab the,
a
you can
couple.
grab this.
I've commented to a couple people.
Okay. Well, you can ask me the questions. I can, respond to them live too. If you
I think they'd want to hear from me.
Oh, they want to hear from
They
you.
want to hear from me.
Of course they do. Everyone wants to hear from Eamon, trust me.
So, somebody said your alligator clip XT60 aka fire starter.
Nice. Of course, you gotta be careful, right? But you know what they say. If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough, right? Alright, don't over tighten your bolts. You don't want to strip the motor mounts.
Then we got Scorp 76. Greetings from Space City, H-Town. Scorp 76 FPV.
Nice. Oh, by the way, as Eamon said, we do have a smoke stopper, and we will use it once everything's actually soldered up. Don't move the camera.
No, you're the one. I moved it and you moved it out of the camera.
Well, you keep the camera down here, and then I'll find the screen. Don't worry about it.
Got your back, Burger. I got your back.
Yeah, so we will use, once things are soldered, we will use a smoke stopper, because as much as I got practice soldering, I just don't trust myself.
Well, I've never seen you screw up anything like that, but it's always good to use.
I did blow up an ESC the other day, didn't I? On my 4-inch rock, I think.
Was that your fault?
Well, technically, it was.
Shh, don't tell anybody at home.
Alright, we're almost there with the motors. I'll tell you though, I've been building quads for a long time. And quad builds used to be really cumbersome. That's probably a good word. They take forever. You have all these little things you have to do.
Oh.
But now with these 4-in-1 stacks, and
Do you remember like the first QAV 250s that?
I started with a Nighthawk is where I started.
Well, the QAV 250 came out before the Nighthawk.
I know. But I started with a Nighthawk. Yeah.
But those things seem nowadays like you look at one, you're like, holy crap, they have tons of
frames
space.
have, like, 28, yeah, and 28 parts. in
Yeah,
the frame,
and they have so much space, and they're so
many
big, and yet
parts.
we still had wires hanging out of everywhere, and it looked like you could barely fit it in. Nowadays, you have this tiny frame using essentially the same components, if not better. I mean, back then we used to use 12 amp ESCs,
Yeah,
as if it was like,
Simon King.
yeah, if it was gonna work.
Okay, motors are mounted. So next thing I need to do, now I got a mix here of motor bolts and frame bolts. I'm gonna keep them separate. I know frame bolts are the silver ones. We're gonna set these aside for a second. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna mount my stack. Now, this HGLRC stack, somewhere at the bottom here, it's got a hardware bag with all the mounting hardware that we're gonna need. So,
What's nice about their hardware bag is it usually comes with one screw that goes from top to bottom of the stack.
it's in some aspects it's nicer, some aspects it's not.
I know it can be a pain in the butt to take it apart, but it actually keeps it from ever having just like one standoff snapping on you.
Yeah.
Like when
No,
you
I
when
do
you have
like
a bad
that. So-
accident.
I'll make a comment here while I'm mounting the stack. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to loosely mount everything so that I know all three pieces will stack together correctly, and then I'll tighten it all down. And the reason I do that, and you'll notice if you use this, is the frame is actually drilled for 3mm holes, right? And we've done that on purpose because some of the stacks, like the Flight 1 stack, the Spark, and what's it called, millivolt, I guess.
The minival, yeah.
They come with 3mm standoffs, right? So we didn't want to have for our customers to have to drill out carbon fiber, right? Carbon fiber dust can be a little bit abrasive to the lungs, and you don't really cough it out or anything like that. So you want to try to avoid that. So what that does is it gives us a little bit of play when I mount the 2mm bolt stacks like these. But it's not a big deal. Once I put it all together, everything lines up properly, and we'll be fine, right? So.
On a side note, Dean just cooked me an egg. Apparently, he's famous at making eggs, and I'm on the keto diet, so I can actually eat this, and it looks great. Burger, would you like some egg?
I am good right now, actually. I'm building.
Sorry to
and
interrupt you.
narrating.
I could feed you if
Yeah,
you'd
it's all
like.
good.
I could even point the camera at you while feeding you.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, real quickly, I'm just gonna go through and finish running these bolts and mounting the stack. Now, with this stack, you'll notice they're actually really nice because they're printed with an arrow telling you what the front is. So if you look over here between the two terminals where the battery voltage, let's see if I can get this in frame somewhere on this side, there's a little arrow that tells me what the front is. So when I put this down, I know that the front will match right there. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the front will match, and the flight controller, the front will match. So I won't have to worry about having an orientation issue with my board once I start to configure it. So, all right, so it takes a little bit to get some of these nuts in, but once they're in, it's not a big deal. Let's see if I can speed up the process a little bit. Oh, it's a little too tight. And one more. You'll notice here they give you extra hardware, which is kind of nice in case you lose one piece, or if something goes wrong with one of them. Like, for example, you melt it with a soldering iron. Like, never done that before.
Yeah,
so.
me neither.
So it is kind of nice to have these spare parts just in case, right? So let's go ahead and get the ESC in. And this is going to be once we get the ESC in again. So this is the front of the quad, the wider space, extra space for the camera, and I'm going to orient that arrow I was talking about in that direction. So, all right, everything goes there.
Oh, we got somebody from Weston, Florida.
Oh, nice. Oh, Mr. G44. That's actually our graphic designer.
Oh yeah,
So he's part
that's
of the team.
George.
Yeah, it's George.
Welcome, George. I was about to say, and he's in Weston.
He's a
We're
little late,
we're
but
kind of in Weston, kind of.
I believe actually Scorpio 76 from Houston is his brother or half brother. So.
Damn, those eggs are good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're on the stream too.
That's what I've been using here.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So I'm actually not going to use this nut because it's a little tiny for some reason. That's not making me happy. There we go. All right, so that one goes up there. Thank goodness for space. I actually have, oh, that's one thing I didn't prepare was my socket set that was done.
What do you need?
We have them in the office. Don't worry about it. No, I don't need anything right now. It's fine.
Hey.
Oh, Amy just got a phone call. Just abandoned me in the middle of the build. Yeah, so actually that brings up a good point, George. So if you're coming here directly from the link in Facebook and you're on a phone or a tablet and it brings you to the kind of built-in or baked-in Facebook browser, if you look at the vertical three-dot menu to the right of the YouTube bar that's underneath the Facebook browser bar, there's a little menu, a YouTube menu, and if you select there and then you go to, I believe desktop is what you need to select, it'll take you straight to the YouTube app, which will then use your credentials, and you'll be able to comment and such. So, all right. So again, flight controller. Again, I'm going to look at the little flight controller right here next to the USB port. Is a little arrow that tells me what's the front. Again, you may not be able to see it. Maybe if I put my hand behind it, it'll focus. All right. So I'll go ahead and then drop this one in here. Right. And now I'm going to set it into the pins. Should line up and press down. Now I have enough components that I know that my bolts are straight up and down. So what I can do now is I'll take a pair of needle nose pliers. I'll grab this nut inside here, and then I'll just take a driver and I'll go around and just tighten the bolts. Now I know that those bolts are going to be tight and in the right position in the hole. So even though the holes are a little bit sloppy, once they've been tightened, nothing's gonna move, and everything's gonna be in the right position. All right, 3, and and 4. Alright, so I know that's good. Let me go ahead and take out the flight controller for now. We're going to work on the ESC first, and then I'll tighten these nuts. And these nuts, they're nylon, so you can just tighten them down by hand. You don't have to crank on them too hard, because you're just going to strip them if you do. And they won't technically strip, but they'll skip a beat, right? So we'll set aside the rest of the hardware for a second and put it into my little tray over here. And I'm actually going to fire up my soldering iron, and I'm going to start soldering. We're going to get ready to put this thing together. So the first thing I'm actually going to solder is I'm going to go back to my little parts bin, and you'll see at the bottom here we have the connector and the wires. So I'll go ahead and take those out, and I'm just going to solder up my pigtail before I do anything else. So I'll let these out. You'll see there's a heat shrink and connector and my little... So one thing I recommend, this isn't strictly necessary, but I like to do it in case it takes me a little extra time to get the connector soldered, is I like to plug it in to another connector. So in this case I'm using the one from my smoke stopper, but plugging in that connector there will allow me to dissipate some of the extra heat I may be generating, and more importantly make sure that none of my pins are going to go crooked. So I'll grab my soldering iron, my solder, pre-tin my soldering iron, and I'm going to pre-tin these connectors right in here. Now this is not meant to be a soldering tutorial. There's plenty of good ones out there on the internet, but you'll see that I follow pretty standard soldering procedures, right? So I've been soldering for a long time, so I've gotten fairly decent at this. I'll take my little wires for my pigtail. I'll go ahead and just strip off a short little distance, right about like so. Do that first. Red wire, black wire. We'll need to take off that much. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to pre-tin the wires. Same thing as before. Grab my soldering iron, I'll clean the tip. Get some solder on the iron first. And from there I can go onto the wire itself. Now the wire is going to absorb a fair amount of solder. Make sure that it's completely soaked in. And there we go. Done with that one. I'll come back here, clean off the tip, and I'll do the other one. Same process for both. Alright. Wire's completely tinned. The red one is now. I'm going to put that down, clean off my tip. Another advantage of using a backer cord like I have right here is it makes it a lot harder to get the wrong wire in the wrong location. So now I'm going to go ahead and just put these two together. So I'll put a little solder on my tip, hold it in position, melt through and through. It did not melt all the way. There we go. Wait for that to solidify, and we're all set. Flip it over. I'll do the red side. Same thing. I'll clean off my tip. Put a little solder on the tip first, and go ahead and put my wire down. Melt the solder. All the way. Now these wires are getting pretty hot. If you're not used to soldering like I am, make sure you use pliers or tweezers or something like that. I'll go ahead and check that everything's okay. Make sure there's no horrible sharp points that could tear my heat shrink. And I'll go ahead and take again the provided heat shrink. Just slide it over the wires. Make sure it's pressed all the way down. And grab my heat gun. Let's go ahead and slide these a little farther down. Now that I pre-shrunk them a little bit. And then go ahead and just finish them off. Alright, our pigtail's ready for now. We'll cut and strip the other end when it's time to install it. Before we do that though, let's go ahead and solder on the motors. First step in soldering the motors is going to be to pre-tin all the pads on the ESC. So I'll just go around, find a nice comfortable position, And same as before. I'll pre-tin my tip, and then I'll just flow solder onto all of these pads. And you see I'm being nice and generous because I want the wires to have a good puddle to bite into when I put them on. Down to one side, just flip it around, clean my tip again, and tin the other two ESCs. Okay, now this is where this particular design makes life so easy to work with. So I'll go ahead and fold away my wires. I'll take my frame, I'll lay the arm in position, and then I'm just going to go ahead and insert the bolts. Remember that's a 1.5 in there again. And I'm just going to bolt those down to the set screw. You'll notice I'm not using any Loctite or anything. I'm just bolting them on temporarily for now. And they'll hold the motors in position as I solder them onto the ESCs, right? So again, make sure my wires are clear. Put in position. I'll use the assembly bolt. Same thing on the other side. I'm just snugging these up. I'm not cranking on these at all. I just want them to hold the arms in position as I do my soldering. Alright. So, next thing I get to do is actually solder the individual wires onto the individual motors. Now, I'm going to be running the wires behind the set nuts so that they can go through the spacing in the little vertical arch. So, as this gets installed in here, you'll see I want the wire to go in the gap between the sides. So I don't want it to go all the way around and through the front because it'll be much more susceptible in case I hit something. This way the wires will be a lot more protected. So I'm just going to kind of run them here. I'm not trying to be excessively tight with them. I want to make sure I have a little bit of slack. I can always take that up with some electrical tape or something later. And then I'm just going to go ahead and clip these. And I'll do these one at a time. And that's just how I'm used to working. You can clip them all at the same time if you want to, but I've always done it one at a time, and that just works for me. So, again, I'll clip it. I'll go ahead and tin it. Alright, once it's been tinned, let's go ahead and clean my iron. Grab a tweezer in this case. Hold it against the pad, tin my iron again, and just come in here, touch on the pad, the wire will go right in, and now it's nice and solid. You'll see I got plenty of slack on this wire going back and forth. Oh, and that was my middle wire. And so I'm going to move this to the middle position. You don't have to have them sequenced. I just like it when my wires are sequenced, but it's not strictly necessary. There we go. Nice joint. And there we go. Still got enough slack on that wire. I accidentally took the middle one apparently when I meant to take the front one. And so I'll go around and I'll do this for all four of my motors. So while I'm doing that, any questions or anything that I can talk about to you, or if not, I'll just go ahead and tell you an anecdote. I'll tell you a joke, but I don't have any good ones. Alright, so I don't have any questions. I'll tell you a little bit about our design philosophy. So if you've known us for a while, you'll know that we have about 10 or so, maybe more now, 11 different frames if you start counting variants. And there's actually several frames we designed that didn't actually make it to market for different reasons, whatever they may be. So the most recent trend is we've been doing these ultralight frames, and that started with Wyvern ultralight, and we really found a very good way to put these frames together, minimal amount of parts, yet modular and replaceable arms, and we're very, very happy with this particular design. And the Pixie is actually really just a derivative or a shrunken down version, if you think about it that way, of the Rock Ultralight. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Rock Ultralight, but we wanted something where you could have easily replaceable arms, minimum amount of hardware, and yet still sturdy. And the thought process behind it all was to be able to run smaller hardware, smaller motors, smaller ESCs, and still develop the same kind of power and at a much smaller. It's way too long. At a much smaller, much lower weight, I guess. Right. So one of the design philosophies behind the Rock Ultralight when we came up with this was, for example, for the 5-inch, we'd be running, instead of 22 diameter motors, we'd run 18 diameter motors. And for the 4-inch, instead of running 18 diameter motors, we'd run 14 diameter or 15 diameter motors. And that's what we've been doing. But the frames are so light that the motors are hardly working. I mean, we're getting 4 or 5 minute flights on frames that are really comparable to some of the big boys, and it's actually been very, very good working frame for us, and a lot of people have been flying it and really, really liking it. So we really took that same philosophy and moved it over to the Pixie. I see a lot of people doing builds on 3-inch drones talking about 14 size motors, 1407s and things like that. We're running on the 3-inch Pixie, which I'll bring one in and show you in a minute. On the 3-inch Pixie, we're running 1106 motors, and on this 2-inch Pixie, you can see these motors are tiny. They're 1104. They're listed on the website, by the way. 1104 7500. And again, you could think, well, that motor is maybe a little small for a quad like this, but the quad is so light. I mean, I was looking around and I was seeing other frames, on the market for 3-inch quads, frames in the 50, 60, 70 gram weight range, when our 3-inch frame is basically under 20 grams. I mean, you saw that this one was 17, 18 grams, right? So you can tell that these extra light or ultralight frames are really helping out. We can keep the quad super light because we can run smaller hardware, we can run smaller motors, and motors are really, in this size frame, are really the biggest contributor to the weight of the quad. And so by being able to run smaller motors, higher kV motors, we're getting much more efficiency, yet we're not sacrificing anything in speed. We've run the 3-inch Pixie, so the big brother of this guy just has basically the same frame, it just has the slightly longer arms. We run it up against 5-inch quads, and it holds its own, even though it'll still give you twice as long flight time, right? Here, Eamon, why don't you grab the 3-inch Pixie that's on the table?
Sure.
We can show it. So, while I'm sorry, over here, Eamon's going to show you the other frame, but we've had great success with that, even though the motors are smaller. Like, I designed a previous 3-inch frame that never made it to market, where we were running much bigger motors, right? We're running 14, 15 size motors, but on these, because it's so light, we can get away with running those are 1106s, 4,500 kVs, right? And if you want to run 2.5-inch props on that same frame, you just run 6,000 kVs instead.
So essentially, this is the same exact frame that he's building, only like our 4 and 5-inch Rock Ultralight. The only difference is whenever you want to go to the 2-inch, you just change your arms. So with Berger's highly genius concept that he has here, where if you release these 2 screws and you pull down, you can slide out your arms and then pull out the top plate. So to get rid of an arm, all you do is take out these 2 screws and slide it out. That's it. You don't have anything else in there. So it keeps the weight down, makes swapping arms super easy. This was kind of too powerful, this drone.
Yeah,
but they were running on 4S.
I run it on 3-cell, but it will run on 4-cell.
Yeah. Dean was running on 4-cell.
It doesn't even overheat. The problem is you're so low on the throttle curve. all the time. It's hard to. Did I tell you the story? We were running out on the
Yeah, I
on
hear
the
it's fun.
street. Did I tell you that story? I was running 453 cells, and we're getting 4 or 5 minute long flights on a 453 cell on that 3-inch
Yeah.
on a 3-inch quad, and then we're running around in the street in front of the house, and then Dean's neighbor comes in, and then we're talking about the quads and everything, and that's a little and we had one battery to kill. Dean had a 654 cell battery left over that we had to just empty out. And so I popped that thing in my quad, and it took me about 20 seconds flat before I was in the tree.
Yeah,
Because it did so much power, I didn't see how what was above me, and I ended up in the tree. We had to get a ladder and a pool. What would you want? A pool skimmer.
I loved having it just to drop into that little gap between the fence and the trees and shoot that back little trench. It was definitely felt like I was dropping into the Death Star. It was pretty sweet.
Nice.
The first time, second or third, I'll leave that to the viewer.
Which movie? That'd be first or second. I don't know about the first. No, on that one, yeah. But that was different, yeah. All right, so I'm doing motor number 3 here. We're almost done with this part of the soldering. I'm just trying to fill a little time. Sad that this is where all the time gets eaten up, right? None of the complicated stuff, but it's just so repetitive, right? We have so many little wires that need to be soldered. You see, I like to do them one at a time, just so that I don't misjudge any of my cuts, or so that things don't get in the way of each other, right?
So while he's doing that, we are going to go play with Mr. Kitty.
Yeah, we got a visitor.
Hey. This cat, not only is a black cat, but it's missing an eye. I am not joking. This is the spawn of Satan, also known as Dean's cat.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
Oh, he attacked Burger viciously.
Meow meow.
He drew blood. He's been trained well.
Oh, is that the? Oh, it's on your own. I thought it was the opposite.
That was my malaise look.
Yeah.
You know what I don't have, Dean?
What don't you have?
My little trash cup.
Oh, the trash cup of epicness.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, he's so upset because you were showing off the 3-inch.
I know. What was that all about? Yeah, I think he's like at home with one of these drones building as we speak.
As we speak, exactly.
Because George was totally like, "Yeah, get that thing out of the way." Oh, is this what Burger was trying to find while we were in Ceph?
Yes.
Can't operate without this. You have to do
Burger.
the high part though. My voice is out.
All right. All right, here we go.
Put it down.
Oh, the soldering M&M bucket of epicness. Oh,
I can't let you guys take over the camera. Alright, we're down to the last DSC, guys. I'm sorry.
Come on, find us something interesting on there.
Oh, okay.
We're in the epicness theater room of epicness.
It's the build room. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could walk in. I could go show them the build room, but it's not as fun as this room.
That's a rewinder. And we're going down this hallway.
Into the light.
That was a beautiful move.
That was Dean in the background with the flash. Look, your head popped out right there.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know
Ah!
what that is. I don't know who that is. That was a pretty sweet chorus.
Looks like the guy on the TV.
Oh, nice. Whooping.
Oh, it was a great drop in chorus.
Oh, yeah.
That was a fun time.
Very fun time. How are we doing over here?
Yeah, we're down to the last 2, so you can mount that back up in there. Alright, almost done with the soldering here.
Oh, man, I totally thought we had 9 people, but it's 6 because the phone's upside down.
Oh, it's okay. I think a lot of it will be, be there for prosperity too, right? So people can come back in and watch it later too. So that'll be nice.
When
Oh,
was
you know what? You want to talk a little bit about the contest?
I would, but I don't know all the details, so I'll let you go through it.
Simple enough. So we're gonna run a contest. There's nothing particularly done now, but we're gonna put up a post on our a video on our YouTube page, where basically all you gotta do is comment and say subscribe, and it'll be a little summary of the contest. And what we're trying to do is get a few more subscriptions. So YouTube has this policy that unless you have 100 subscriptions, you have to have these cryptic channel names. And we would like our channel name to be youtube.com Quad Monsters, right? Or Quad Monsters FPV specifically is what it's going to end up being. But we can't do that unless we have 100 subscribers. So we were thinking that in order to encourage people to subscribe and to help have their friends subscribe, once we get to 100 subscribers, we would give away a t-shirt from anyone that's basically commented that they subscribed. And,
Or my concept, subscribe or die.
no. Then when we reach
Okay.
on the same video, once we reach 500 subscribers, then we'd actually give away a frame. So to anyone that comments on there. So
What
we'll
shirt?
what?
The shirt.
Yeah, the shirt. Oh, yeah, show them the shirt.
Show them the shirt. Let's see.
With your newfound.
This
No,
shirt?
he can model it.
Or this shirt?
Yeah,
Or what about this shirt?
exactly.
Remember, we wanted to market to the masses, so please feel free to turn around.
This is my logo. Nobody else can have this logo. Nobody else can have that logo, okay?
For a limited time. The
But for a limited time, everybody gets
payment
it.
version shirt. Will only be
World's
limited to 100,000
okayest
shirts.
pilot.
Yep.
0 of 100,000. That's what I want on this limited
All right,
edition run.
let's get back on here. So now we're done with the motors. All soldered up and neat. If we need to tie these down, we'll do that later.
Sorry.
But the frame is basically to the point where the motors are done. Next thing I'm gonna do is solder on the pigtail. I want the pigtail to come out the back here. So what I find typically is best is I'll go ahead and solder in my ground wire first to that pad right there. That ground wire is going to go around these pins, and once I got the right position for the pigtail back here, I'll then go ahead and trim the red wire or the positive wire and solder it in. So you'll notice that it faces inward. That way I have a much less risk of anything ripping off. So without further ado, let's go ahead and tin these pads. Right there. And then we'll basically go through the same process here. I'll strip off a little bit of the ground wire. I'm going to tin this wire. So again, I'll tin the tip on my soldering iron. I'll go ahead and feed in enough solder to make sure that it's flowed all the way through. Come back over here and position it where I'm going to solder it. It's going to go right there. Tin the tip on my soldering iron, and then go ahead and just flow all of the solder right here. And there we go. Now give nice contact, making sure it's not touching anything, particularly that MOSFET that's right underneath, right there. In this case, we're good. Now I'll go ahead and lay it out in position. Follow it up with a red wire. Alright, so it's going to go right around there. So then I know I got to trim my red wire to here. That's the right length. Again, we'll strip that wire there. And same drill. Clean the tip of my soldering iron. Go ahead and pre-tin it, lay everything in position, get the wire exactly where I want it, and heat up everything. And make sure it doesn't move until the solder solidifies. And there we go. Power wire's been soldered. Next thing I get to do is mount the flight controller. However, before I do that, there's one thing I need to do. So this particular video transmitter that comes with this stack supports the Immersion RC Tramp protocol for switching channels if you use the where we go, OSDRX, I guess is what they're calling it now. So that's pin number 3. If you go from this side, 1, 2, 3, or the OSDRX pin, that's going to go ahead and support smart audio. So or what we call Immersion RC Tramp protocol. So in order to do that, we need to attach that to a UI. Now, most of the soldering connections we're going to do on the flight controller are going to be done on the top side. So we're going to take a camera and a VTX and a receiver are going to be soldered on the top side. But in this particular case, the pin that we need for the smart audio or for the Immersion RC protocol is going to be on the bottom here, and it's going to be the TX3 pin that we have at the bottom here in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and solder a wire to it, and then we'll go ahead, we'll use that wire, we'll solder that wire to the pin on the VTX. But I want to do this on the bottom side before I mount it, so it'll be a lot harder to get to it on the bottom side after it's been mounted. So I'll go ahead and take this. Go ahead and take my solder. I'm using the TX3 pin here, like I said, and we're just going to go ahead and pre-tin that pin. And I gotta find a wire now, and so I think I'm going to steal one from the camera because I know that there's plenty extras here. Actually, specifically, I know that there's a wire I'm not going to use in this harness, and that's the one for the voltage sense, because I am using the OSD on the flight controller and not the OSD on the camera. So I can go ahead, sort out these wires, find the blue one, which is the voltage sense wire, and with a little X-Acto blade, I'll lift the pin and pull out that wire. Just like that. So we got one loose wire, came out of the connector. I'll put this back over here. Keep all the camera stuff together. And I'll just go ahead, tin the back of this wire. Drop it on here. And that's been soldered. So again, that's gone to the TX3 pad on the flight controller. Hopefully that's focusing over there. You can see what I did. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over. Again, I'm going to use the little arrow that shows me where the front is. I'll face that towards the front, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure these wires are out of the way, the power leads. Make sure that the pins are connecting appropriately. Give it a firm push. Now this is all measured out obviously so that the height of the spacers and the height of the pins matches, so it's super easy. I'll just grab my nuts, my next set of spacer nuts, and I'll just thread them on here by hand all the way down. Oh, look, Frank joined us. Hey Frank, how are you? And hey, Mango Farm, welcome. Alright. Let's get a couple more on, and then we're going to start soldering up the flight controller. before I do that, however, I am going to go ahead and prep my receiver. Like I said, this one particular one, we're going to put a Spectrum receiver on, but the process is going to be fairly equivalent no matter which receiver you use. Let me go ahead and pull this receiver out of here. Alright, and because this is such a tight build, or such a small quad, you can see this receiver would take a lot of space and would be hard to mount. Hard to find a good place to mount it, right? Under the camera would be tight, you know, maybe up here. Not a lot of space. However, this receiver is actually a lot smaller than it looks. And in order to get to that particular size, all I gotta do is open up this case by removing these two bolts in the back here. And there's a couple little latches in the back, so I'll just separate this and you'll see how it comes off. And there's some double stick tape underneath this board. So all I gotta do is just carefully find something soft that isn't gonna damage anything. Just get in here and pry a little bit, and the tape will come off. If you have a plastic pry tool, would be better. I don't know that I have one here right now, but we'll get there in a second here. I just need to very carefully. I'll go around the edges, slowly peel the tape off. There it comes, and you'll see that there's some double stick tape on there. Here, we don't need this case anymore. And I can go away. You see how much smaller the receiver becomes once you take it apart. Oh, we lost an antenna. Let's put that back on. There it is. Snaps right in. Let's go ahead and peel off some of this double stick on the back. We don't want this because we're going to heat shrink the receiver just to give it a little bit of protection, and then we'll put double stick on the other side of the heat shrink. So it's a little bit more peeling. We'll get this off. And oh, I know, Frank, it's a nice quad. You need to get your hands on one. It's just like your Rock Ultralight, just smaller version. Runs with these itty bitty little cutie batteries. Let's see if I got one handy here. I can show you. And it's on the other table. I'll get one in a second. I gotta get up there and get the heat shrink anyway, because all of my assistants disappeared. They left me here to fend for myself. Alright, I think I got most of that. Good enough. I'm going to go ahead and flip back these antennas so they face backward. You can see along the length of the circuit board. And I'm going to run around real quickly and grab myself some heat shrink. Hold on. Fortunately, that was on the other table, so I had to run around and get it.
Alright.
It's okay.
You need something?
They abandoned me.
We continue to eat.
Yes, of course you do.
We're trying to hit ketosis. And we did a blood pressure check to make sure Eamon was still
Nice.
not going to explode at any moment. And then we found out that I might explode at any moment.
Yeah,
But I always thought that was the norm around
that was
Dean.
normal. Alright, so just go ahead and measure out roughly the length that I want. Cut this.
I'm going to show you something amazing. I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes and watch me change the whole thing.
I wouldn't know.
We'll put that up to here.
Like, seriously. Are you really doing it?
Yes.
And just grab our heat gun.
And being in your house makes me want to go eat some sweets. I always used to go grab some sweets from that little basket. I mean, good.
A box of Lindt chocolate.
Alright, I'm gonna trim back some of the heat shrink a little
They
extra.
make anything with dark chocolate doesn't have a lot of carbs in it.
So,
Like you can have some of that stuff.
next thing I need to do is figure out what I'm gonna put the receiver here. Probably gonna face these wires backward, so I can then reach him out and stick him through the two holes that make the antennas come out of. So I'll go ahead and just put it here, and then I'm gonna slide it back. So in order to do that, I'm also gonna
He said slide it.
yeah, I'm also gonna run my wire from the front here. So I'm gonna actually plug one side in, just to give me a sense. So I'm going to run this wire together with the antennas under the stack, and then I'll come up with these to the connectors. Now you can see the connectors are on this side, 3.3 volts, DSMX, and then my ground. So I need them to go all the way around, up and over, and to about there. So I'll give myself a little bit of slack. I'll cut this wire right here. I'm going to save this for later. Right here. I'll take this off again. And what I'll do to make my life easier is I'm gonna run it underneath now and solder it, and that'll give me, it's a little bit on the long side.
They heard us talking about meditation. Meditation is key.
Oh. Is that
We have a fan. Somebody said they love quad monsters.
was that Frank?
No, the person that said they love quad monsters is a beautiful young lady.
Oh, nice. All right, so let me go ahead and pre-tin a few pads. I'm going to use the receiver pads on this side. Then we have the video transmitter pads on this side, and the camera pads on this side. If you're going to use LEDs and stuff, there's a few other pads, but in my particular case, this is all I'm going to use. So let me go ahead and tin the receiver pads first. So you'll see here it says DSMX. Oh, it's a little dirty. Let's go ahead and get that cleaned up a little bit.
You dirty girl.
Sorry?
You're such a dirty girl.
Yeah. DSMX, 3.3 volts, and ground. This is dirty already. And ground.
Come on, man. I thought you do this for a living.
I don't, yeah, this tip is starting to go back. Let me flip it around a little bit so I can reach this side. And so on this side, we're going to have, I'm all tangled up here. Alright, oops, sorry.
Don't burn
I'm
your
rocking the
stand up.
boat. No, I won't burn the stand up. Here we go. We got camera, ground, and 5 volts. And then for the video transmitter, same thing. Okay, so those are all the pads we're going to need. Now we can actually prep the wires and start sorting.
Drop 15%.
Alright, so here's our camera wire. I'm going to leave the little programming wire on. And my camera's actually right here. So I can cut it fairly short. So I don't want to have a ton of extra wire just hanging around. So I'll go ahead and I'll trim these 3. Right about there, I think is good. So these are the ones that go to my camera. Black is ground, red is, in this case, 5 volts, and white, yellow is going to be a video signal. Now we're going through the flight controller because this flight controller has an OSD, so we'll program the OSD to show up the information that we want on the screen itself. So first things first is I'll trim those wires, strip those wires, and I go ahead and pre-tin them. There's the ground. There's the video. And there's the power. And these are small wires, so they don't take a lot of solder to tin. So now let's go ahead and grab my tweezers, and we do one of these at a time, just like we did before.
You've been flying without me.
Maybe without you put 20 batteries through the side over here.
Alright, we'll grab a little solder pre-thinner. There's one. There's two. Camera. And then 5 volts.
Tell Frank I'm coming for him.
Alright. That's the camera wire. Next we do the VTX. So, same thing. I'm going to use the remnant from the camera wire here. Let's go ahead and strip the ends. I'm going to tin them. And again, we'll do one by one. So let's start with the ground wire. We'll pre-tin the iron. So our ground wire. Next is the VTX wire, so that's the yellow one.
By the way, they were complimenting your hands.
Nice.
Somebody made the reference to Zoolander, the hand model.
Oh, yeah, no hand model here, by the way, for sure. And finally battery, without melting the... Okay, good. Go 3 wires are in place. Next thing I need to do is, let's go ahead and do the receiver. So again, 3 wires here. We have ground is black, 3.3 volts is orange, and gray is, in this case, DSM serial protocol. These wires have slightly tougher insulation. Doesn't cooperate as well, or as much. You know what I didn't grab, Dean?
What?
Double stick tape. You got that in the office somewhere?
Yes.
So you sent Eamon that doesn't know for the double stick tape.
I think everybody's gonna go on the journey with me.
Oh, nice. No, you're gonna go ahead and show him that mess?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, no.
This is where all the mad science happens.
Alright, double-sided tape. Double-sided tape.
Right where double-sided tape should be.
Do.
It's gonna be in our tape-ish area. See there at the top? Or bottom. There we go.
We found a wyvern
Oh yeah, it's a beauty.
in public.
She's a beauty.
Oh,
Do you need any landing gear for the quad?
oh.
Spring activated.
Ooh, who's playing with airsoft? Who's painting their AR with a yellow tip?
You know if you stay in this room too long, it's gonna happen, don't you?
You're gonna get popped it.
Upped it. Oh, by the way, throwing this into a campfire is amazing.
Oh.
If you're not getting a real
Can we
crackle
go
of an
do
old
it?
fire.
I mean, we need to like totally spruce this video up.
We can have a pop-it war. Oh, and don't chew on them either. Here, you get a couple.
Yes. Don't chew on them. Oh, what the hell?
That's pretty. Well, I don't have to clean them up. The dog will eat them.
All right, first. You're gonna just,
Yeah, can you film and pop at the same time?
yeah, I can do it. Ready?
Eamon started it. Will you at least step on it? Where is it?
I don't know, but I gotta bring this back to Burger because I don't know if it's.
See what Justin just said, Eamon?
We should do a giveaway.
Yeah, for 2 Rocco, like 4-inch arms.
I saw it for the 4-inch ultralight. I didn't see for the arms.
I do.
No, I didn't get it back.
Guys, come on, bring that back.
Aww,
Stop playing.
he's totally
I'm
ruined our
walking over
fun.
I do ruin the fun, that's alright.
Oh shit! I gotta find it.
The cat's gonna go chew it, and you're just gonna hear it in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so
Damn it.
we're back. All right, so next thing I get to do is solder the. Oh, well, I went ahead and soldered the receiver to the 3 pins we had talked about earlier, right? So it was DSM-X. We have 3.3 volts and ground, and that wire goes underneath to this connector here, and that's going to be wired into the receiver, which I'm going to double stick tape here very, very shortly. Is it? Are we still up, or is it my iPad that's live?
be.
Or
I saw it counting down. Yeah, we're still counting down.
Okay, can you check anything?
Yeah.
I got a little bit of lag, so if you guys are good, then we'll come back here soon.
Move your hands. Yep, we're live.
Okay, good. So,
Oh, did it
for
drop
some
off?
reason- yeah,
I thought it did, but
it may have frozen for a second. Okay, so we're back. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and solder 4 pins here on the flight controller. So hopefully you guys can see that. And they're gonna be the voltage, ground, video signal, and the smart audio, or the immersion RC tram, which I think they call the OSD RX. So let me go ahead and do that. So first I'll pre-tin them over here. Actually, let me do this on the top, it'll just be easier. So we'll do the video there, and it's going to be the first 3, which will be power, ground, and OSD. Okay, so make sure I got these wires going in the right direction. So of course these are on the wrong side. How can we do this? Which is going to be easiest? If I mount this like so, and these wires are right there, I could do that. Actually, maybe if I go around this way and come in the back, that way the front won't be as crowded. So we'll go ahead and do that. And again, just so I can remember, so we're talking about power, ground, OSD, and then the one that's on its own over here is video. So let's go ahead and drop this in position. I won't put the nuts in until the very, very end, because I'm using little itty bitty nuts now. And so let me go ahead and just, like I did with the motors, I'm going to go ahead and curl up the wires, trim them individually, and solder them into the right position. Okay, so there's that wire. Again, strip. Tin. Next will be ground.
Do I get to fly it first?
Yeah, you get to fly first.
Yes. I was just kidding, but awesome.
No, of course not. You are the sponsored pilot.
Oh wait, you're gonna goggle it and do it at night again?
Yeah.
We're gonna go all out.
Shit.
So we have to program OSD and everything. I was just gonna get it up and running
I
first.
mean, you just turn off
Simple
OSD and I'll fly it. I don't give a damn.
We'll do the OSD programming later. Let's go ahead and
Yeah, but where's the
Do the
computer
ground?
one that we've test flown 10 times and we're supposed to switch?
yeah, no, there is no there's no
Dang it.
quad,
It's
no
a
no
continuous
pre-baked
shot.
quad in the oven
Yeah.
here. Yeah, unfortunately.
Those alarms look suspiciously longer.
Oh, you're doing one of those again. Why are you hiding what I'm doing, man? Are you ashamed of what I'm doing over here?
No.
No.
No. You just got a snap or because. Nothing to do with your performance, sir.
I'm sure. All right.
Ooh, Frank said no flux. No, when you know how to solder, you don't have to use
No,
flux.
they're rosin core solder, dude. It's got flux built in.
Yeah. Probably doesn't. Nope.
Water here. That was
showing it to my cell phone.
So this is just for Frank. Do I have it upside down?
No.
Oh, I had it upside
No,
down.
no, you had it upside down.
I did have it upside down. How's that?
Oh.
There. Oh, you're trying to. There we go. Whatever. So it's got flux, okay? For Frank, just for Frank. Alright, and so we have a little yellow one over here. That's going to be our video signal coming up from the OSD. Trim that one.
When are you going to come paint that?
Do you know what this means, Eamon?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what this means?
Does what?
What does this mean?
Should I go review the video? I don't know what you're talking about.
No. What am I doing right now?
Soldering?
Yeah, but what am I soldering?
Is that the smart audio?
No, this is the video signal, but
I thought it was a trick question.
This is the very last solder joint.
Oh! Very last solder joint.
Sorry, I did that way off screen there so I could see better. Anyway, what I did right now is I soldered in video, smart audio, not technically, it's IRC tram
Yeah.
protocol, right?
Yeah, if you're
Rather
going
than-
through the software, you're not going to pick smart audio. You're going to pick the tramp software.
Alright, so let's go ahead and button her up. There's a little bit of final assembly we got to do here before we can test everything. And a little bit of programming.
Mostly for you.
Epic. That was the epic race.
Do you have a,
My big fail at Seaburn.
no, he's got a socket driver, doesn't he, for, trying to remember what size these are. I want to say 5,
5.5.
no, but I think this one's 5 or 4, no? These are smaller than the M3s, right? 5.5 is for M3. This is the next one down. I did not bring my socket set, so we're at the mercy of whatever he's got up there.
Don't look at it. Just try it. Don't look at it. Just try it.
Here's me.
Yeah, it's all right.
4.
I haven't fallen since now. I don't think you got
All right.
8 batteries.
This is Dean flying.
No, this is you. Don't lie.
This is totally Dean. I haven't flown here yet. I've been dying to fly here. This is Dean flying the 3-inch Pixie. So the Pixie comes in 2-inch, 2.5-inch, and 3-inch, correct?
Technically, it only comes in 2 and
2
3.
and 3, and then you
The
can obviously
3-inch
run.
You can run 2.5 by
2.5.
changing your motor cable. Yeah.
For those that didn't think Dean knew how to fly,
No, Dean can fly pretty good.
Dean can fly pretty good.
This
Just-
is not
just-
a freestyle, actually.
Every once in a while, we'll either be doing tiny whoops or like a small track, and Dean will totally hold his own.
Yeah, these are when cars are coming across the street. I'm waiting for him. Yeah, I got my warning. Cars. What is it?
Game off! Game on!
Exactly.
I'm like, alright, what's this car doing here? Yeah, I'm like,
Dean cut a hole in the
Oh,
fence.
that's
just in case they ever crash on the other
with
side.
With the force out. All right. Let's see, Eamon. I know that's exciting. But let's go ahead and we get to open the very last bag here and start buttoning stuff up. All right. So, everything's soldered. Everything's bolted down. Now I just got to do a little bit of cleanup. So, first of all, let me tuck in this. I'm gonna try to. Let's just get a bit tight.
you can tell it's not
Tuck in this OSD programming cable for the camera. I want to get rid of it because I want to be able to take off the OSD on the camera because I'm going to use the OSD on the flight controller. So I'll just tuck it through here to the back. Now I can reach it in the back and plug it in if I ever need to. And there's my camera connector. Next thing I'm going to do, there's my receiver connector. I'm going to go ahead and, the guys went over to the office to find me my double stick tape. And where did it go?
I use Eamon.
Eamon lost it.
Alright, they're going to find me some double stick tape. while that's waiting, I'm going to go ahead and open the very last pack, and I'll show off what we have here. So this is the kind of end of the build pack.
It's not my fault. Dean distracted me with the poppers.
Alright, so in here, there's a few different things that we're going to use.
Frank was trolling us.
She was. It's a little battery strap. Now usually we give you the little quad monster battery straps, but these batteries are so small and the space is so tight that we're running these ultra light standard Velcro battery straps. They actually work pretty well. And so those are simply enough. You're just going to feed them right through here. And out the other side. And boom. But I'll do that in a minute once I do the final assembly. We have our little antenna tubes with little caps. Those are going to go into our 3D printed part, so I'm go ahead and just put the caps on first. And then once the antennas are in position, I'll just insert these into the frame. We have a couple of zip ties if you want to tie down your battery wire. I probably will as a stress relief. I'll show you what I do there, but I'll do that again after I do final assembly. We have the battery pads. These are going to go here, and again, I'll do these after I do final assembly. And we provide you a little wrap strap. This is like a flexible, adjustable, infinitely adjustable zip tie in case you want to strap down your wires. It's not as critical on the 2-inch because everything's pretty tight, but sometimes on the 3-inch it gets a little bit longer, and you may want to go ahead and just strap down your wires. The nice thing about this is it's rubber. It's not hard plastic like a zip tie is, so it won't eat into the wires and break the insulation and burn up your motors and ESCs. Ask me how I know.
We're going to take a quick break here.
Okay.
If you have not already, go to Quad Monsters FPV on Instagram and hit that like button or follow button.
Mm-hmm. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, of course. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do plan on a lot more content in the next coming
This is the first
weeks.
of many.
So if you are enjoying it, the shenanigans of Dean and Berger, and of course the rest of the Quad Monster team, go ahead and subscribe, follow, like, do whatever you can.
There's a Facebook page too.
And we are back with Berger now installing the receiver.
Yep, so I put some double stick tape on the bottom of the receiver. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the backing. This is my least favorite part of any build, because it seems like the backing sticks better to the tape than the tape sticks to anything.
So I totally just realized that everything I just showed was upside down.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's how we roll. So I'll just run those antenna wires underneath the flight controller so they come out, underneath the ESC, so they come out on the back side. Of course, they're not cooperating.
He said backside.
Back end of the, whatever.
He said back end.
Back side of the quad. Go ahead and plug in.
Quad's poop shoot.
Nice. You had to be that explicit, didn't you? I'll plug in the connector, slide this up as far as I can.
Burger, I want to go off at that bar.
Yeah, it
And
just
then-
reminded me I want to play with Burger's DLG. That sounds kind of dirty.
And then just stick it right there underneath. So this is an auto bind receiver, so I don't have to worry about reaching the bind button or anything. I'm gonna see if these antennas are gonna be long enough to come out the top.
Looking
They may
for
not
it.
be long enough. I just realized. Alright, we'll have to deal with that later. Yeah, I think my antennas are too short to go up the top. But okay, let's do the final assembly. So that's there. Oh, one more thing I want to do. No, next thing I'm gonna do.
Oh, look at it. Ah! For those that don't know what a DLG is,
Oh, okay.
it's a discus launch glider. And it's a glider that you throw by hand and then you fly it back in. Now, guys like Berger can fly a decent quality discus glider for like 2 or 3 hours at a time without having to launch it more than
My record
once.
is an hour and 45 minutes, and I came out of the air because my receiver pack died.
Yeah.
It crashed.
However, the day we went out to this park, I was flying a tiny little itty bitty discus glider. And,
Alright, we're in the critical final
Dean,
assembly step.
okay,
here.
I'm sorry, but it was so cool watching it fly.
Oh, that'd be fine.
It was the discus glider being chased by Dean.
And there's Ava.
Okay, so all I've done so far is I removed the 4 bolts from the 4 mounting points, and now I'm just going to slide these towards the center, just like that, and kind of hold them in position. I'll grab my top assembly, and here's the easy part, right? Here's how easy this is. I'll plug in the camera. Make sure that all my wires are clear, which they're not currently. Snap this in. Motor wire is clear. Push it all the way down. Slide these back in. Just like that. Now I get to go through. Put Loctite on my bolts. Don't want to stay on the. Slide them in there. Now I get to tighten them a little bit more than last time. You don't have to go crazy. They are steel and steel, but you want a little more snug, but not over tight. Right? Again, there's 2. So that arm is now locked into place. And I get to rescue the one that went for a bath in the thread locking compound, which means we're going to have thread locking compound everywhere. And creating infinite universe.
We were told by our followers that this is Burger.
Yeah, that is why they take on the video for.
Yeah, but not YouTube. Not YouTube.
All right.
If you watch a video from YouTube, it doesn't take down YouTube videos.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have a few little things left to button this up. Next thing I want to do is install my video antenna. Make sure I do not forget that, because I do not want to burn up my video transmitter. So just slide it through here. You know what? I'm actually going to do this slightly differently. I'm going to give this a little bit of a 90-degree bend, just to shorten it up a little bit. So I've given this a little bit of a bend, just like so. Slide that through there.
Get out of this, you can see what you're looking at.
And I'm gonna pop that in. Not exactly. Pressure here.
Yeah, see, watch you do your twisty.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I didn't know.
Alright, just line it up.
Go
There
back
you
to
go,
it.
Press it in. Alright, so that's the video transmitter antenna. We can tighten the camera a little bit. Oh, wrong size, of course. Let me just start here.
Go back to it.
And then we'll
I'm gonna put in the.
come back and
shot.
adjust it as necessary. So for now, I'm just going to tighten the camera and I'll feed the little wires from the antenna out the little antenna tube holes. They're going to be a little short. I'm just going to leave them like this for now, and then
Yeah, that'll be enough.
I'll worry about that later. Yep. So I'm going to skip a few steps just so we can get this up in the air, like the zip ties and a few other things that I would normally do. But for now, let me just kind of do the minimum here. We'll get the antenna tubes in.
Alright, for those that don't know what a discus glider is, Dean just found some footage of me playing with that little one we had.
Unbeknownst to me, the battery was still plugged in.
Yeah.
I mean, the GoPro was still on.
Still recording on the GoPro. Now, it might not seem like the most fun of all the hobbies in this hobby, but that day, I think it occupied about 60% of our time while we were out there.
What's funny is I was flying a quad monster on 4-cell Wyvern on a 1050 4-cell. I was up for 7 minutes chasing it.
Nice.
The Wyvern ultralight. Right?
Yeah, ultralight Wyvern.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those ultralight frames really have some
Yeah,
serious
I
flight
consistently
time.
get 6 minutes when I fly it.
I was putzing around. Except here.
Alright, I'm gonna tag down the video antenna with a zip tie, make sure it doesn't pop loose. Again, we don't want to burn up our video transmitter if we can avoid it.
It's
It looks
waiting
like
for
super
you to take
smooth.
off.
I never saw this footage.
I was goofing off, like waiting for you to get into that corner so I can go up and
Oh, I
see where
can-
you're at.
I can tell it's a burger built quad because that was super smooth footage.
Yeah, I jerked around though, so it's pilot error. For,
No, I
I
think it
wasn't
looks
trying
good.
to be smooth, but without trying to be smooth, it's pretty smooth.
I think it looks great. Oh wait, I'm tossing it. Look, oh, there it goes. Holy shit.
Alright. Got a little zip tie in
Yeah,
there
you were
just to tighten up this antenna. Make sure it's not gonna accidentally pop out.
Okay, so here we got a toss. No motor on the airplane. You
Alright.
see how high they go.
So before we put the props, oh, one more thing I gotta do. We'll skip some of this stuff for now. Up here, that can wait. Before we put the props on, we're gonna hook up to the computer and do our final configuration. Actually, one more thing before I do that. Let me drop in the battery pads. So we'll put one right here.
Herb, would you care for anything from the kitchen?
No, I'm good right now. I will. I'm gonna modify this one slightly. Give me some clearance around those bolts, like so.
Right now he's modifying that foam that we use to give a little space for the battery, but as well make sure that the battery stays in place.
And that should now fit in here, just like so. Alright, so you'll see the strap's going to go between here and here. So we'll put the strap on in a minute. But let me go to the computer first and do the final configuration. My workspace, just a tad. So I can.
Go ahead and pull out your computer and I'll start cleaning your workspace for you.
That's not for my jack.
I can be your owl.
Office.
Your
That
owl
one
to
goes
your
where that blue one you just
home
put in,
improvement.
that's not mine. The blue one's not mine, so that one goes in the blue's office. And the red one goes where you go.
I'll be your owl to your home improvement.
Nice. To my Tim,
To your tin.
full-time Tim.
Mm-hmm. All the women like me better.
Yeah, of course they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make an observation. The GLRC stack actually comes with a very nice capacitor, and that just solders right onto these two pins that are on this side of the cloth. Let's see if I can show you. If I come back on camera, it's kind of maybe hard to tell, but you'll see them. They're right there on the ESC.
You notice there's a quad about 80 hours.
I don't usually put them on until I know that there's an issue. If there's an issue that I think will be fixed with the
That was me.
with the
I think.
capacitor, then I'll
You
add
forgot.
it, but not before that. So, all right. So real
I
quick,
wish that was you.
again, this is not a tutorial in quad
They
configuration.
yelled at me for going too fast. I'll show you.
All right.
This is my
Let's
second
go
quad.
ahead, plug in the quad, and I'll just go through the general setup. Do we have a radio?
Did you find the radio?
Listen here.
First of all, let's see if we get a bind on the receiver. What? I have a light.
On the receiver?
Yeah, on the receiver. There it is.
Yeah, if it's
Alright,
auto
so we have a
bind.
little auto bind flashing light in the receiver. I'm going to see if this, yep, we can see it flashing there. I'm going to go ahead, I know I already have the program, I checked this before, so I'll go ahead and put my bind button in on my radio, turn it on, move it away 6 feet, 10 feet as per spectrum. It says binding DSMX 11 milliseconds. Okay, So let me go ahead, now that the radio's on and bound, and I'm going to connect to the quad, and I'm going to go ahead and do a few configuration steps. So first thing I'm going to do is go to ports. My UART1 is going to be my serial RX, and my UART3 under peripherals, let's see if we can kind of catch that. I'm going to select IRC trend. Alright, so I changed port UART1, serial RX, and
get scared when I see that.
peripheral IRC trend.
As if it's happening live.
So I'll go ahead and save this. Again, I'm not trying to be exhaustive here. There's plenty of online tutorials. I just want to give you a little bit of a sense of what's going on. Next thing I want to do is just absolutely verify that the quad orientation matches right on the screen, and it does. So we can put that down, and I'm going to go to my general configuration, and I'm just going to plug in some of these numbers because I already know what they're going to be. So for now, we're just going to run DSHA 300 at about 2.5% will be my idle. I don't know these motors very well yet, so I may be off on that a little bit. I think I'm going to go ahead and run 8 and 4 just for now. Again, this is Betaflight 3.5. I haven't used 3.5 too much. We don't have a barometer. We don't have a magnetometer. Oh, personalization. Pixie one. Why not? Receiver is going to be serial.
Go back to the other video we're at.
And we'll talk about a few other features.
I'm going to post it.
I'm going to turn air mode, OSD, anti-gravity, and then none of that matters. So now we're beeper. Here, arming, we're good.
While he is setting it up in the computer, let me know if you have something really important you want to show them. Dean was going through some footage
A tutorial on.
of us flying a track we made in the woods on the way to Sebring.
I'm just gonna go ahead and set up my default rates. Amy, you okay with that?
Yep. This is a track me and Anthony were racing on. Nubs. This is a race. Dean threw down $100 for the person that won this race. And I was doing so well. I was able to still. But was that the one that I lost? Or was I still able to win that one after that? I think Anthony crashed right after I did.
Yeah, crashed out, but the one that you guys came into the finish line, just 5 feet ahead because you cut the corner, it was beautiful. This was a great course. See, is this you or is this me?
That was me.
You want to run that many times?
I think I was practicing that turn.
Just because it's blurring fast doesn't mean it's you. Is this when we did the official?
I don't know. All right. This was an official race between me and Anthony Nubs.
I think I have a recording of him too.
Yeah, I remember watching. I thought his footage was super smooth too. Oh, that was a close one. Oh, there he was, the video. Oh.
Oh, no. Good night, Sally. That was
Oh.
a camera replacer.
That was the one that I lost. And I was never good at seeing somebody else in my footage. As soon as I saw them, I lost my shit.
Yeah, you got too excited.
Alright. What's your arm switch again?
Top left.
Top left. I need to change the arm switch here. Let's see.
Is this where I crashed right here? Yeah. That was the end, and I just was like, fuck it, and just crashed it.
Yeah, after you went through the finish line.
Yeah. How we doing over there, birds?
Very close. My arm.
Yeah, I call them birds.
You have arm, this arm, right? That's arm.
So long ago, I forget.
You hold the radio properly and decide what you want. Put it in the arm position.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's arm right there. Okay.
It's been like 2 months since
Really? Since you phone a quad?
I've set one up.
Oh, since you set one up. But
So it comes natural when I like pick it up, but to tell you what it is, I forget.
Alright, so I'm not gonna mess with anything else right now. Let's look at motor rotation maybe.
Okay.
And then we'll go. So I understand what I'm doing. Alright, so
Me trying to learn the course.
finally, dun dun dun, the moment of truth. Here goes the smoke stopper. For all our not lack of smoke stopper critics. Ta-da! And our little cutie battery. And of course it's not gonna focus. Focus. Focus.
Focus.
Focus.
It's focused.
Alright, there we go. So 453 cell. Alright, everybody hold your breath.
No light.
No light, that's a good thing. Alright, let's see if I can get some cries out of these guys. Okay. Now. Thank you, HDLRC.
Yep.
Yep.
They're good like that.
They're all spinning in the right direction.
But usually I've seen motors be different, so don't usually take it.
No, it's no guarantee.
Yeah.
We got lucky. First time ever for me, by the way.
Well, it's perfect for the video, right? Makes it a little bit shorter.
Yes, it does. Alright. I think that next. No, I don't know. Are we streaming? Can you check on your phone? Because I got.
Yeah, we're still streaming on here.
I just went ahead and disconnected. We have, there's a bag with props somewhere.
I saw it earlier.
Yep.
Bad GoPros.
Bag
You
of
want
props.
to try the Emacs or the Gem Fan?
So these are the ones that I'm not a big fan of
Okay.
because
We'll try the Emacs then.
they break easy, but they fly very well. The quad tends to be easily tuned with these. They're the Gem Fan. I forget.
Alright.
There you go.
Avance.
However, I've never
Smoke.
used these
Smoke.
before, but I hear people like them.
Smoke or clear?
We're gonna go with smoke, so that way we might possibly be able to see it, as opposed to clear.
Oh, I do have to do one more thing before we. Well, I don't have to do it now. I can do it afterwards. I gotta install the. Dun dun dun. The battery strap. Alright, the camera is pointed. I don't know what the camera's pointed at right now. Oh, my back hurts. Totally. Try to see if we can do this.
So,
Alright, more or less. Alright, so we'll get the strap inserted now.
we also have the whole piece, which
No, we're good. We'll go with the Avance. It's fine.
these are my favorite.
Those? You want to try with those then? Alright. So the strap is probably going to be a little long. You can just cut it off to length once you figure out what that is. Alright, let's go with the Avance. We gotta. I did not bring goggles, so you're going to have to impose on Dean or use your own.
Yeah, I'm gonna impose on you because I do not bring my goggles.
I pulled out 4 props and they're all the same location. Just my luck. Alright.
Google. For a favor. Anybody want a handy dandy candy? From Pyroflip?
Oh, you have Pyroflip candy? Nice. I got a fortune cookie from Get Cookie.
That was a little unusual when I started seeing those pop up.
Alright, so now we need to find the right size bolt for these, and I guess it's going to be the longest ones we have, and that's barely enough.
Alright, well then, before...
No, there may be a longer size, sorry. I mean, maybe not.
You need me to go in, what are they, 2.5s? I think we'll have 2s, right?
Check that. If this is maybe less thick.
It is most probably less thick. No, it's actually exactly the same, believe it or not. So, we'll just have to go with these.
What is that?
Is that your phone?
Yeah.
Amy's phone? Houston, we're gonna have to go with those.
Hello? Yeah, sorry. Alright.
Well, that's nice to know.
Yeah. You know what? You're gonna be asleep while I'm bringing you.
So the interesting fact is that Emax 2-inch props are longer than 2-inch.
Yeah, so I tend to find that the Hulkies that were the 2040s also tended to be a little bit longer than just 20, and I had to nip them usually on my 2-inch quads.
Yep.
So the 2-inch prop is more than 2
Yeah,
inches?
it's
Yeah.
not 2
Like 2.1 or 2.3?
It's more like 2.3 actually.
Yeah, I never even checked, but
But
I know
that's-
I had issues with them.
Oh, so you need it to be 2 because you... this
Yeah,
is
and it won't clear the frame.
Yeah.
Oh, so literally you have to cut these or is it close?
No, Eamon has another set. We have some other ones. Gem fans I know are the right size too. Because we ran them before on the silk.
Oh,
So,
well, he's doing fine. Here's where I was really starting to groove.
it's okay. They're still all watching me. Alright, so I'm just mounting the props. And this is ready for me, basically.
I can't wait to go fly.
We have 2 people watching still.
I can't believe there's people watching this late.
Well, went a little longer than I thought. But doesn't it always?
Alright, we can see Dean now. I think we're under this course.
This is Dean flying.
This was the 4-inch rock, ultralight.
Is this a tree spot?
It says Eamon on it because
Oh, we said
Dean
that
was
for
so
the
kind to let me
race.
race his drone at Sebring because I was destroying everything.
Alright, we're almost
Get
there.
a dog into this gate here. That's good. That was commitment. That was not.
Alright. 2 more bolts. We're there.
Ooh. Ooh.
I'm gonna have to get longer bolts. These are kind of on the ragged edge. It'll work though. On such a light frame, they'll be fine.
I can't wait.
Okay. If you're flying, I guess I'm cameraing. You wanna do a quick short hop first?
Yeah.
Eamon, did we lose it?
Oh, yeah. He knew it was time to fly, so he had to lighten the load, not just on the quad.
Oh, there we go. Nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and mount a battery in this puppy.
Well, let's make sure we have the VTX set to this.
Oh, you switch the goggles from there to VTX, it's okay.
Yeah. But what are you on, do you know?
I don't know, I'm about to turn it on.
Well, we're at F1, so that might be a good start.
It's probably gonna be F4 or F7.
Oh, right off the bat?
Yeah.
They don't come F1 anymore?
Nah.
Brilliant.
Alright, we're almost there. Let's get this battery tightened in. Alright, we'll trim this later. For now, I'm just gonna check it under there. Alright, we're about to plug in radio 1 and do a quick line of sight short hop. Or
Moment of truth. Yeah, I'll do that. Because it's always interesting to see something like that fly inside of a house. So,
yeah.
you know, that's where all the fun can happen. cap
the
on.
camera angle? Or?
Yes, I will do some stuff to it.
Okay. So
First of all, we're going to change the milliwatt. We are on F. We'll stay on F.
Yeah, blast it, go 350.
Yeah. And
you know we have smart audio. Well, I haven't set up OSD though, so in the
oh, that's a
in the
little
rush to get this
funky.
done, I didn't set up the OSD.
I still got image.
Never seen that before.
See if I have. I'll unplug this.
There we go.
That's the fun. That's fun. Here, I'll hold the camera.
Let's make sure that's all right.
All right. So, while Eamon's getting ready, we're about to do the very last thing on this live stream.
Oh, fun game until you tear a movie screen.
Nice.
It's weird every time you go to adjust it.
Yep.
The button's like pressing it, so.
Well, it's not gonna matter in the long run. We'll set up the
You see
the
that?
RC tramp and you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, you're right. Maybe. Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe it's like defaulting and all that.
No. It'll let you change with a button.
It's not.
Well, I'll just fly it in here. So you're fine. You're not gonna go upstairs, right? All right. So let's do a quick first short hop here. Yo. And she flies. Whoa, you're way too fast for me here.
What do you have? Is the battery still?
Whoa, I don't know what he's trying to do. Except make everyone dizzy.
Fly it, baby, outside.
Oh, we're going outside?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. The live stream will switch over to Wi-Fi, from Wi-Fi to...
It should. This is
Automatically?
2018.
Well, we'll find out, I guess. All right, we're going to go outside, apparently. We're going to do night flying? Is the camera going to be good enough for night?
Man, I fly first, ask questions later.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to go outside and fly, guys, I guess. All right, let's trek through the garage. I'll go after Eamon. Nothing better than crashing a brand new quad, right?
I always want to be the first to crash.
Thank you. I don't have a little TV monitor.
Of course, we won't see any of it on the live stream.
Oh yeah. At least I can hear it crash.
Yep, that's fine. Oh, we got lights. Look, there's lights. We'll be fine. There's a few more going that way. You're armed?
Damn, super smooth already.
Dang, too bad I don't have a little monitor.
It's that impossible to follow, you realize, right? A little dot in the night. Oh. All right, I'd say we call that a success. You get to play with it more later. For now, let's end the broadcast, maybe, on that note. What do you say?
How far we go until I feel sick?
Oh, nice. Is that what we're trying?
At night, that's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better at night.
Well, as long as you don't throw the battery.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say at least you have some light.
Exactly.
Little pads.
All right, we went 11 minutes over 2 hours, so not so bad. Whoa! Oh, tree!
Burger.
Nice.
Oh my God, you're landing with battery left?
All right, we're down to one.
Kind of made me
No,
feel like
that's
we
it.
were rushed.
This concludes this evening's.
This concludes the conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. This evening's programming. Thanks so much for watching, and I guess hopefully this will show up in the replay. So, alrighty, Eamon, say goodnight.
Bye. Ciao.
All right, good night, guys. I don't even know how to turn this off, but this is the end.
24/7 broadcasting.
Yes.